they can experience the life that I got to experience, like live the life in true freedom, do what you really want to do, cut down your hours, stay home with your kids, or quit your job, pay off your home loan, whatever you want to do. Because I was able to do it starting my business from Saudi Arabia. And back then, I didn't even have Wi Fi. I used to borrow my
Wow.
neighbor's Wi-Fi to do all the work. If I could do it back then, anyone can do it. Anybody who has the motivation, who really wants to change their life, literally anybody can do it. And that's the message I want to share with everyone who is watching, everybody who's listening.
Hey, entre leaders. Happy Wednesday and welcome to another episode of the Leaders Lab podcast. For those of you who are brand new here, I am your host, Dr. Charity C. Campbell, better known as Dr. C, and I am a doctor of management, a world-class millennial global leader, an academic professional, a multi-passionate entrepreneur, and here in the Leaders Lab, we talk all things entreleadership, communication, and balance as a millennial professional. And today, usually we focus on a lot about leadership and occasionally we'll talk about entrepreneurship, but today we are definitely diving deep into entrepreneurship here, the entrepreneurship side of entreleadership. And let me ask you a question. Are you ready to make some serious money from your crafts? Now, I'm not talking about, just like, oh, a few dollars here and there. I mean, like some serious money from your crafts, the things that you love to do. Well, in today's episode, our special guest joining us all the way from Australia is here, and she's going to share how to create passive income that will allow you to possibly quit your day job and work on your own terms. What is the point of making crafts, these things that you love, if you can't earn some income from them, right? So go ahead, grab your coffee, your tea, whatever it is that you need, along with something to take notes with, because we're going to be discussing why passive income is the answer for busy crafters, how to deal with competitors, and also finding success in a digital business. Now, our very special guest today is none other than Jav Sid, and she is the founder of Cut and Make Crafts, a business that helps crafters learn how to make passive income from crafting, primarily with SVG cut files. Now, passionate about helping others achieve their dreams, including her own, Jav loves to inspire listeners into taking action towards building the life of their dreams. Through her own story of turning a hobby into a full-time business, she shows listeners that anything is possible if you're willing to work for it. Entre leaders, without further ado, please help me to welcome to the lab our guest for today, Jav Sid. Welcome to the Leaders Lab, dear.
Hello, how is everyone doing? Thank you so much for the wonderful welcome. It's a pleasure and honor to be here and talk to your audience about how to make passive income from your crafting.
Whenever I think of crafting, I think of like a lot of the YouTubers who have like these channels and they're showing like these DIY projects, and I'm like, I know they're monetized because they spend so much time, on making this content, and it's not easy. It's not easy to create content like that, especially in a digital sphere. Or even like, I see people who have their own t-shirt shops and print shops and things like that. And I'm like, okay, but what is the income like there? So, but you have experience with that. So how did you get started?
So I started like 8 years ago, long, long ago. And I
Wow.
started right after I graduated from high school. And my
Okay.
first business was designing and selling handmade bags. I love making bags, and I used to hand paint them and
Okay.
sew them and sell them. But then I joined college, which was in Malaysia. So I was staying in Saudi Arabia. My college, I started my honors in Malaysia. So I had to move there.
Hmm.
And I was doing honors in biotechnology, which is very hectic and time consuming. And
Hmm.
I also wanted to make extra income on the side so I can have fun. So
Yeah.
I decided to switch to a digital business model, which would be flexible and which would fit with my schedule. So I started designing and selling bag sewing patterns instead of selling the actual bags.
Wow. Okay. So, so you, first of all, you were very wise because you said, you know what, instead of me doing all the work and making these bags, why don't I just make the pattern and people can make their own bags? They can change the color, do whatever it is that they want to do with it. I'll just sell the pattern. That was the idea that you had.
Yep.
See, that's working smart. That's working smart instead of working hard. But so why did you choose this business model? I mean, especially with what you were studying, like you could have chose anything you wanted. So why did you choose crafting or a digital business model?
So basically, I just went with my passion. I loved making bags, so it naturally transitioned into selling bag sewing patterns. And at that time, the only thing on my mind was how to make extra money. I didn't really look into the logistics and do my background search on what's in
Okay.
demand. And I just naturally rolled into selling digital sewing patterns. And
Wow.
I wanted a business model where it wouldn't be so demanding. For example,
Mm.
something that I could step away from when I had exams. Because when you are studying honors in biotechnology, you have labs, you have classes. So half of the day you are at the campus. And if I was selling handmade items, handmade bags, after coming back from all those classes and hectic day at the campus, I wouldn't have that energy or probably motivation to sit there and assemble and package and ship all those handmade orders. So I wanted something that would fit in with my schedule, and this business was perfect for me.
So you said that you started selling the digital or the electronic patterns. Like, so I mean, did you research different platforms or did you just say, "Hey, send me money through PayPal and I'll email it to you?" Like, obviously you started with the idea. You had the talent already. You know, you had the love, the passion, and then you had the idea. But how did you go from it being like just an idea to income, from idea to income? Oh, I love that. Oh, I really love that. I really actually love that. How did you take it from idea to income?
So I looked into what platforms you can use to sell digital files, digital patterns. I was first and foremost, obviously, Etsy came to my mind, and a
Yeah.
lot of other designers were also selling there. So I set up my shop over there after searching like what are the top 10 places you can sell your stuff. And I also set up a shop on Gumroad. So there were two different shops
Hmm.
I was running. The whole idea to income, it took a lot of time for me because I was just DIYing everything. And at
Yes.
that time, that was like 2013, 2014. The
Hmm.
online education industry wasn't that sophisticated back then, I would say. And I
Yeah.
couldn't find a lot of helpful resources for using illustration software to design sewing patterns. And there was a lot of material on how to market your products and stuff like that, but there wasn't anything specific about designing sewing patterns. So I struggled a lot. So for 2 years, I spent most of the time learning the whole process of how to use the digital software, illustration software to create your
Wow.
designs. And once I had mastered it, I started creating patterns and releasing patterns almost every month. So I would come up with an idea, I would draft it out, and then I would draw it out in the illustration software, then cutting, and then hiring some testers because you got to test out everything if the measurements are perfect. So you need to have like a group of testers. So
Hmm.
I learned everything on the way, and then I started releasing patterns like almost every month, like whenever I was free, like during the summers.
So these testers, like, how, first of all, how did you know that you needed to have testers? I'm guessing you found that during research. I don't know. Like, how did you
Yeah,
know
so,
about that?
like, once you're in the community, you see what other people are doing, you learn from them. Like, we had a group of sewing pattern designers, and also there are other sewing patterns like sewing for clothes and
Mhm,
dresses
mhm,
and pants. So I was in those groups as well, and I was watching, I was observing what they are doing, how they manage and plan and execute their pattern launches. Like the designer would come to the group and she would say, "Oh, I'm looking for 5 to 10 people to test out my patterns." I'm like, "Okay, so that's how you do it." That's how I learned eventually. Like, you have to be in the community, you pick up things. But the thing is, like, it was very slow. Like, if I had
mm.
somebody to guide me step by step, I wouldn't have wasted like 2 years trying to figure things out. I
Yeah.
would be on my way. I was making money already. Like, I think that 2 years, the time I spent on learning and DIYing everything, really slowed down my growth to making passive income.
Right.
And it wouldn't have happened if I had someone to guide me.
So in these groups that you're in, these different communities or different, I'm guessing some of them were probably Facebook groups or like, forums and things like that. Did you ever encounter competition? Were there people who, they were like, "Oh, I like your idea. I'm gonna do something like it," or like, how did you was it there? Was it present? And if so, how did you deal with that?
Yes, that is a very complicated, and it's a very common issue, especially when you are making bags, because how many different shapes of bags can you make, right?
Exactly,
A toad is
exactly,
a toad. How many
exactly.
different
Yeah,
types of toads can you make? So
yeah.
that was a very common issue, but
Wow.
the way to dealing with that is like having an abundance mindset. Like, there is enough for everyone out there. If you work together, if you see it from a positive perspective, everyone can benefit from it. So
Mhm.
instead of looking at the other person as a competitor, you look at them as collaborator. So we would do some uh there were some groups like we would merge and launch patterns together, and we would
Nice.
promote each other. There will be like pattern hopping from one designer to the other. Like, there we would host events together so that everybody's audience gets introduced to the other designers. So we focused mostly on collaborating instead of looking at the other person as a competitor.
I love that. I had to grab my note taking for a moment because I was like, I'm over here, I'm like taking notes on my phone, like, oh, she said collaborator instead of competitor. And the fact that you said you need to have an abundance mindset. I think that was the thing that really kind of hit me because I think just in general as entrepreneurs when you're first starting out, the thought really isn't abundance mindset, right? Like it's really kind of like provoked fear in a way. It's not necessarily like an abundance. It's like it's like the opposite of it. It's like you're trying to keep everything, hold on to it. So did that come easily for you, or did you have to to develop that abundance mindset?
Yes, it comes with practice. Like you said, like when we are starting a business, a lot of people come from the corporate side, right? And in
Mm.
the corporate world, it's one person at the top, one CEO, one manager. So we are just programmed to think from the scarcity mindset.
Yeah, I was about to say
Uh,
scarcity is yeah, exactly, from scarcity, not abundance.
So you got to do a lot of journaling and really looking into what makes you special. What's your superpower? So I had to do a lot of journaling to change my mindset. Every day I
Mm,
write down in the morning. I get up, I do my journaling. I write down things that I am grateful for. What makes me special?
yeah.
And slowly and gradually, by doing that, I was able to change my mindset from scarcity to abundance. And
Wow.
it takes time. It takes
Yeah.
time to do that. Like, now that I'm in a place where I am super happy with where I am and I'm not afraid of competitors. But
Mhm.
back then, it was difficult.
So, going through all of that, this business model, you were in school. And you were like, well, I need something that's going to create some income for me so I can still be in school, stay focused, but also work on my own terms. And I like how you said it too. You said, I wanted to make money so I could have fun. But were you really having fun though in the beginning? I mean, it seems like you were just you might have been working a lot and studying. When did it really become fun?
It became fun once I got the gist of it. Like after
Okay.
2 years, when I started making consistent monthly income, I would
Okay.
save up, and in the summers, I would go on holidays. So I traveled to Maldives, Thailand.
Wow.
Twice I went to Thailand and all of Malaysia. I've toured the entire of Malaysia, all the popular places they have. So yeah, so I would just save up, and that's when I started to have fun. Like last 2 years of my college were I was just traveling every single time I was on a
Wow.
holiday.
Okay, so that is actually the living the life part. Like that's the living the life part. But you said it took you 2 years to get there first. When did the income really start? Like, did you start making income in the beginning? Like it's like, okay, I'm making bags, I sell, I have a little bit of money, or I'm gonna sell these instead of selling the bags, I'm gonna sell the patterns and now I'm making a little bit of money. Like when did it really become passive income for you?
Let's go back to the handmade business. So when I launched my handmade business, I barely had 1 to 2 sales. That was a total loss because I was in Saudi Arabia, and handmade industry is not considered like something you would buy from, something you would pay like $100 for. Over there,
Okay.
like people were like, okay, I can buy this for $10. I'm like, it's worth way more than that. I spent like
Yeah.
100 hours on that bag.
Yeah.
So I barely made any sales back then. But I had some savings from because I was also tutoring, and I had some savings from there. So I started a blog. I started teaching people how to make bags through my blog, and then I started releasing bag sewing patterns. So money was coming in, but it wasn't a lot, like, something you can like a monthly full-time income. It
Yeah.
was there, like, for example, in the first year of my business, I just made around $500. That's it. And slowly and gradually, I started making 500 per month. And I remember
Wow.
I was doing my internship. This was the third year of my college, and I was doing internship. I enrolled in a program. I hired a coach. I finally hired a coach in the third
Okay.
year. I hired the coach in February, but I didn't have time to work on it until the summer started, which was during my internship, which was in June. So the moment I got the time, I started working on it, and my income doubled instantly. So I remember the June, when I put all the work in it, my income went from 500 per month to $1,000 per month.
Wow.
And after that, it just kept on increasing and increasing and increasing.
And do you think this was primarily because you had a coach who encouraged you to go beyond what you were doing?
Yep, all the success I've had so far is thanks to all the coaches, because when I didn't have coach, I was just throwing spaghettis on the wall, and
Seeing
I
what sticks.
didn't know what I was doing. The moment I hired a coach, she's like, "Okay, do this, 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 this." And I went and did it. Instant success. Like I had the passion, I had the motivation, and I had the idea, but I just
Mhm.
didn't know what steps and what direction should I go in. Like I laid out road. She gave me a roadmap to follow, and when I followed that roadmap, instant success.
And was this coach specifically for crafting, or was it just a business coach in general?
Just a business coach in general.
Really? So it wasn't like a specific like crafting coach? It
No,
was just a
it
business.
was a very general program. It was also mostly related to blogging business, not even specific to selling and designing sewing patterns. It was
Ah.
more of a blog, and how to run a blog and stuff like that, and sell your products. So I already had a blog and I already had my sewing patterns as products. So that's what I was doing. Then in 2019, I closed down my sewing blog and I started designing and selling SVG cut files, which was super easy for me because transitioning from sewing patterns to SVG cut files, it was very simple because when you
Okay.
are making sewing patterns, you need to be very careful about the measurements. However, when you're
Mhm.
making SVG cut files, you have a lot of room to make errors because it's not going to be exact. Even if you're off by 1 inch or a couple of centimeters, it doesn't really matter
Okay.
as much as when you're sewing, because when you're sewing, the pieces need to fit together like a puzzle.
Yeah.
So that was a very wonderful and beautiful transition. And I started another blog, which was about designing SVG cut files and how to use Cricut.
So all of these blogs you have, you've kept them all at the same time.
Yes, so I still have my sewing blog up and running, but I haven't touched it in like 4 years, but it still
So
makes money.
you truly have a passive income right there. So you haven't touched your blog in 4 years, but it still makes income for you.
Yep.
Teach me thy ways, woman. Oh my gosh. So okay, so since I just said teach me thy ways, how do you help others with this? Like how, how you said you started 8 years ago. Do you actively do anything now, or is it just all strictly passive?
Yes, I actively do all the coaching now because I have all the knowledge. So, and I always wanted to be a business coach one day.
Mhm.
Uh, so now I am fully dedicated to helping others. I do live videos every week. I have my podcast up, and I have a coaching program where I teach people how to design and sell SVG cut files so they can experience the life that I got to experience, like live the life in true freedom, do what you really want to do, cut down your hours, stay home with your kids, or quit your job, pay off your home loan, whatever you want to do. Because I was able to do it starting my business from Saudi Arabia. And back then, I didn't even have Wi Fi. I used to borrow my
Wow.
neighbor's Wi-Fi to do all the work. If I could do it back then, anyone can do it. Anybody who has the motivation, who really wants to change their life, literally anybody can do it. And that's the message I want to share with everyone who is watching, everybody who's listening.
So what is your coaching program like? Like you say you teach others, you coach others. So but you don't do anything else with the other part. Now everything now for you is just coaching in the business.
True, that's true.
Oh my God. That's amazing. So what is your coaching program like?
We have a hybrid coaching program. Obviously, SVG designing is a very technical stuff. So you need
Yeah.
really step-by-step tutorials, how to use the software, how to create your designs in the software, how to export your designs and use them with Cricut. So I have like a platform where once a student signs up, they go to the platform and they can access all the videos. And then we
Mm.
have weekly coaching calls to talk about mindset issues, to answer questions. And we have master classes inside the program, especially for the VIP members who are the coaching students.
Mhm.
And I also do a lot of I share a lot of free tips in my live videos, in my podcast. So for those who are not able to afford the program, they can also benefit and run their business on their own.
So now with this, are you coaching only crafters or are you coaching like other fields of interest as well?
So the program is for anybody who wants to design and sell SVG cut files.
Okay.
My main target audience are people with full-time jobs because I can relate to them, because I myself started and ran my business while I was studying full-time. So I can understand the demands of a 9 to 5 job. Like, you have very limited time. And my goal is to help people move forward with whatever limited time they have. So all my strategies are designed around that. Like, how can you do the most? How can you work smarter instead of harder and still
Hmm.
make a ton of money?
As you were talking about that, I started wondering. Obviously, you can see why I'm an interviewer. You see, because I ask a lot of questions. But while you were talking, I was wondering. I said, I wonder how your business did in terms of coaching and helping others during the pandemic. Like, did you see an influx of people who were like, I'm here, I'm stuck in the house, like I need to turn this passion of crafting or this hobby into like a source of income? Like, how was it for you, as a coach or even as a businesswoman? Like, did you go back into business and say, hey, I'm gonna sell some more, or was it stable enough to just be like, well, I never need to actively design or anything else again outside of the coaching program?
I started doing full-time coaching just this year. Before this, I was designing and I was sharing tutorials on my blog as well.
Okay.
Like, it
Okay.
took some time to transition into a full-time coach. But yeah, the pandemic was crazy for SVG businesses because a lot of people were staying home and they were doing a lot of crafting. So they needed a ton of files. And
Hmm.
that was one of my best years for my SVG business. It
Wow.
really took off that year. Yeah.
Wow. I imagine I was like, I'm sitting here and I'm just thinking, and I live in China. And so a lot of, even though there are many places who have opened back up, there are so many sporadic periods where we're back, on lockdown or shut down again or open again. So I'm like, I wonder how people with jobs, and of course, now we have more opportunities to work from home and things like that. But for people who still want to be able to work on their own terms. I that's me. I mean, yeah, I'm teaching university. I get to suggest my work schedule, the days that I want to teach and how many classes. But at the end of the day, if someone comes to me and say, "Nope, we don't have that available. You need to yield to another time slot." Then I'm not in control of my schedule. And I'm just like you when you said you wanted that complete freedom to be able to work from anywhere in the world at any time you want. I don't do crafts, not in the way where I need to like sell. I just
Mhm.
if I do anything, it's like just for me. But trust me, nobody would buy my stuff.
You never know.
They would have to be a very special type of person to want the crafts that I create. But what type of advice would you give to, someone who's in their 50s, 60s, and they're or 40s, and they're like, yeah, and they're super talented, right? They're like extremely talented, and they have all of these crafts, but they really don't know how to turn it into a business because of the mindset. Because of the mindset. What would you say to them? Like, what type of advice would you give them?
First and foremost, I would say set a goal. What is your goal? What do you want to do 10, 5 years from now? Where do you want to see yourself? Where do you want to see yourself 1 year from now, 6 months from now? For example, a lot of
Mm,
people come to me and they say, I want to quit my job in the next 2 years. I'm like, okay, so you have a goal and you have a timeline. So now,
mhm.
if you want to achieve that goal within this timeline, you have to hire help. Because if you try to DIY this thing, it's going
Wow.
to take you way more time instead of just 2 years to reach there. So if you have a set goal and if you have a set time and you really want to make things quick, and you want to reach to your endpoint real fast, hire help. Everything you have to do is somebody has already figured out for you. You don't have
Mm,
to spend your precious time trying to reinvent the wheel, right? You can
yeah.
just take their process, apply it to your life, apply all the knowledge that you get from them, and your business can be up and running in just 1 to 2 months, and in just like 2 to 3 months you would be making money. And you never know, like by the end of 1 year you would have like additional $10,000 in your account from your passive
Wow.
income. So that's the number one advice I would like to give, because a lot of people have all these goals in mind, but their approach is totally wrong. I would say,
Yeah.
like, if you have a set goal, if you want to just have fun, you don't have a goal, you're like, okay, I'm just gonna sit here and enjoy my crafting, and I don't have any money, what you can monetary compensation attached to this, then it's fine. You can just DIY your way. But if you want to do this as a business, it's
Mm.
best to work with someone who can help you and quickly get you up and running. I have clients who joined me, and within a couple of months, 2 to 3 months, their shops are making so many sales. April, one of my clients there, she had 54 sales, and in May her sales doubled to 110. So
Wow.
it's just a couple of months with the help of a coach, with the help of someone who has been there, done that. You can transform your life within a couple of months. So don't let that opportunity go.
I was about to ask you, when you said hire help, what did you mean specifically? But you just clarified it when you said hiring a coach, get a coach. Because a lot of times we think, oh man, if I'm going to start a business, I need to have a secretary, I need to have an assistant, or I need to have, a manager, or all of these things that we tell ourselves that we need. And in reality, we don't need it. We don't, not in the very beginning. We just need to have some type of guidance and do something. So I'm glad that you clarified by saying hiring a coach to get that. That's really awesome. The testimonial for about your clients.
Thank you.
Yeah. So moving forward, like what's next for you? You said you just started coaching this year. And this is a business model as well. Coaching is a business model here. So what do you foresee in the future, I guess in the next 3 to 5 years, happening for you? Like, do you ever, because coaching isn't necessarily passive. Coaching is definitely active income, I feel like. So, are you planning to continue with the passive side plus the active, or like what's next for you?
My coaching, like, I already have my program set up, and every
Hmm.
week I just have to spend like 2 to 4 hours to go live, talk about my program, talk about the tips, SVG business tips, online business tips, and that's it. And I have all the systems set up. So my next goal is to help as many women as I can by spreading
Mm.
the message. And I would really like to see all the women succeeding and living the life of their dreams. Like, a lot of women come to me and they say they want to spend more time with their kids, and I want to help them in
Yeah.
doing that, because I can understand, as a mother, you have all those feelings. You feel guilty for leaving your kids behind to go to work.
Hmm.
And I really want to help every single mom out there who is working a full-time job, who wants to spend more time with their kids. So my goal is to reach as many people as I can. And in my personal life, I am working towards getting a PhD. So
Nice.
that's something going on as well.
Nice. So you still have a lot on your plate, or you have enough on your plate, actually. Not to say a lot, but you have enough on your plate for that. That sounds good. And at least you know who you are helping, why you are helping them, and with what you are helping them with. So, yeah, that's awesome. Okay, I always ask this question to every guest who comes on the show. What is one characteristic that you believe every leader must have, regardless of the industry?
I think one of the qualities is discipline. Discipline is
Whew.
so important, especially if you are a coach, because a
Mm.
lot of times you feel like not showing up to your coaching calls or not doing certain tasks in your business. And if you are not disciplined, you what are you going to teach your clients, right? What are you going to
Yeah,
teach your followers if you are late, if you miss your weekly coaching calls and you don't show up and you're
yeah,
not doing what you're preaching? then it's never going to work out. So I think this is one of the most important things, to have the discipline to show up when you promised that you are going to show up and do what's
Wow.
required for your business.
I'm so glad you mentioned discipline. Oh, I'm so glad. That's a curse word. You know, some people think that's a profane word there to say, to say discipline. You said, you said as a coach, and you were so transparent. I love that. I love it. You said sometimes you don't feel like showing up. Sometimes you don't feel like showing up. Is there ever a time that you get frustrated because you invest time and wisdom and resources and things into a client, but then they still don't do what you've coached them or counseled them to do because of, fear, or I don't know. Is there ever a time that you're just like, I keep
Yes.
telling you what to do?
Yes, it is very frustrating, and it really gets to me. And that's why I highlight all of my top clients who are working hard, who are
Nice.
showing up and doing the work. Like, we have like award system. Every month I award winners, like the people who made the most sales and people who made the most number of designs in their shop and uploaded it in their shop. So we have all these systems to motivate the rest of the people who are not doing the work. And when they see those results, they also get a little kick to get out there and do what's required. Also, I have limited my program to 12 months because earlier I used to give lifetime access to my program and the membership, and people just used to come there and get all comfy, cushy, and they wouldn't do the work. So now I have changed
Wow.
my curriculum, changed my program timeline to just 12 months, so that people come in, they do the work, they get the results, and they graduate, just like joining college or doing your master's degree or something like that, rather than just
Yeah.
having lifetime access.
So with the program that you do have, you said 12 months. I was like, wow, because most coaching programs I hear, they talk about 6 months, 9 months, maybe. But I haven't heard anyone say like a full year. And then you were saying lifetime access. So, what was that a model that was presented to you by a coach, by your coach, and said, hey, you should do it this way, do it that way, and you did it, and you're just like, you know, kind of figuring out how it works for you or not? Trial and error, I
So
guess.
so my coach didn't really say, okay, do this, do this. I've been getting coached from some amazing coaches, and when I looked at their models and the results they were getting from their clients, I'm like, okay, what are they doing different? So
Mm,
that's when I saw, okay, they have limited amount of time, limited
mhm.
access. And that's when people really see, oh my gosh, I have this much time left and I haven't made any progress. I need to get
Yeah.
out there and start working on it. So this really gives a push. And the reason I have given 12 months access, because I know my clients are working full time. They are moms, they have other people to look after, they have families. And having a 9 to 5 job, you have very limited time and life can happen. So that's why instead of
Mhm.
6, the program is designed to be completed in 6 months, but I've given like 6 months additional bonus so that if they run into any problems, they can come back and continue with the program.
Oh, I see. Okay. I see. So it's basically you give them room for the unexpected in case they need to prolong the time. But usually it's most people complete in about 6 months.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So with all of these, and you said you just started coaching this year. Did you want to coach before?
Yes, it was my dream to be a business coach one day. And this year, I have finally transitioned completely into the role of business coaching. I was doing like not full on coaching earlier. Like it
Mhm.
was 50-50. I was focused on my shop and my blog and all those other things. But now I'm like, I fully embraced my role as a coach.
So before, when you were doing like 50-50, or when you were thinking about it, was there anything that was stopping you from just being 100% full in coaching?
So I felt like I wasn't experienced enough. I wanted to be confident, and I wanted results. I wanted my results to shine. Like, okay, I have experience. So when I was designing SVGs, the moment when I realized like I am ready for this was when I got an offer from Cricut to design SVGs for them. That was
Nice.
that was a dream come true, and I was like, "Okay, I can do this. The time has come."
Yeah. Wow. So Cricut contacted you for you to do some designs, and that actually, I'm sure that added to your credibility, and to your confidence to say, okay, you know what, I'm backed by Cricut, so you could learn something from me.
Yeah.
Wow, I love it. I'm going to ask you, how can everyone get in touch with you? And of course, if you're watching the video version of this, you are seeing that her website is displayed across the screen. If you're listening to the audio version of this episode, do not worry. You can check the description box below, check the show notes or the description box, and you'll find all her links, and you can just click on them. But I want you to hear from her. Like, what's the best way for people to get in contact with you?
I hang out on Instagram all the time, and I love interacting with people on Instagram, so I would love to have
Okay.
you there. We have around 199K followers, a huge
Wow.
community, so you can catch me at Cut and Make Crafts without any period, and there's Cut and Make Crafts, and you can find me
Wow.
there and say hi. Come and say hi. I would love to have you.
I love it. I love it. And for those of you who are also looking at the screen, if you ever want to like email her or contact her, her email address is also listed on the screen, and then it's also in the show notes in the description box below. Jav, it has definitely been enlightening to have you on the show. A little bit rebuking about the passive income for me in anyway. And just the part about making sure that you get a coach, because it's not about cutting corners. It's about, arriving at your destination quicker through the wisdom of those who've gone before you.
Mhm.
And so I just want to give you like a little bit of time to say something overall to our listeners and our viewers today, something that we might have missed, or just some few encouraging words to help somebody who's maybe on the fence about turning their idea into income. I really love that, actually, but turning their idea into passive income. um what would you say to them?
So I would just say, if you really want to do something, you can totally do it. Is your mind and your hands are connected. You just need to have to tell your hands what you need to do. Forget about all the negative self-talk. Am I good enough? Am I creative enough? Is it really going to work? Forget all the negative self-talk. If you have the idea, if you are motivated, if you have the goal set in mind, you can totally do it. That's all I want to say. Believe in yourself.
Jav, thank you so much for being with us in the Leaders Lab on today. It has been a wonderful pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I loved our chat, and it was wonderful just connecting with everyone and connecting with you as well. Thank you so much.
Like, you're so welcome. Listen, Entre Leaders, I hope that you truly enjoyed this episode. And I know many of you out there who are crafters. Her information is displayed for a reason. Contact her. I'm not someone who does crafts, and that's why I bring people to you who can relate to you in your entrepreneurial endeavors, or just your ideas that you have, and you wonder if you can turn them into income. Not just active income, but passive income, which means that you do something maybe once, and then you can step away from it, and it will continue to generate income for you without you ever having to put your hand on it. Or if you do, like maybe do an update or something every now and then. But that's that. It doesn't require you to have like, to physically be there, to have your hands on it after you create it. And so obviously you can see that Jav it's at SVG Superstar, but she has the receipts, she has the credibility. So make sure you get in touch with her. And again, I want to thank you all for continuing to tune in every single week to learn from me and my special guests that come on the show. It really does make me feel appreciative to have somebody like you who comes and watch the video version. You listen to it on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Anchor, all the others. Like it really makes me feel good to know that you all are benefiting from the content here. So don't forget that you can also connect with me on social media at DrCharityTV everywhere. And here is my the website, www.drcharitytv.com. Don't forget, if you're interested in being a guest on the Leaders Lab podcast, maybe you want to be interviewed for season 3, then you can send an email to the Leaders Lab podcast at drcharitytv.com. and someone will respond to you within 24 to 48 hours, depending on if it's a weekday. Now, if it's a weekend, you might have to wait till the next week. But at any rate, I really hope that you all fully enjoyed today's segment, today's episode, and I will see you all next week in the lab.
Thank you for listening to the Leaders Lab podcast. Visit our website at www.drcharitytv.com.